A magical, enchanted and mythical place where mystery reigns absolute. It is rare to find such a combination of extraordinary beauty and charm in our country. The two huge limestone masses, the Sasso Simone and the nearby peak of Simoncello, dominate a landscape made up of thick and mysterious forests, pastures and twisted clay badlands towering 1,200 meters above the sea. Here spaces are free, nature is wild and silence is sacred. Of the large number of trails which lead to the Sassi, we recommend the one which starts from the valley of the Cantoniera in the municipality of Carpegna and enters the forest, thus giving walkers a cool and refreshing trek in the almost continuous shade of the woods. The environment is home to rare or not so widespread plants, woods which are luxuriant in some parts and a rich variety of fauna. Consequently, in 1994 it was transformed into a regional nature reserve. The entire area contains stopping places, descriptive panels and simple but efficient signposting which ensures pleasant and safe excursions. Here we are in the vicinity of Carpegna, the most important tourist mountain resort in the province of Pesaro, Urbino and Romagna. The town of Carpegna stands at the foot of the homonymous mountain in a sunny and bright position upon a vast shelf sloping southwards. Its height, 740 meters above sea level, and position give the town a pleasantly cool and refreshing climate and affords a view of a wide sweeping landscape which embraces the hills of Montefeltro and the Apennines. Anyone visiting Carpegna is immediately drawn to the imposing and elegant Palace of the Princes, which is the current residence of the Princes of Carpegna Falconieri. It was built by the architect Giovanni Antonio da Rossi in 1675. The Conti di Carpegna Falconieri family is closely connected to the past and present history of the place. The recently restructured Romanic baptistry of Carpegna, dedicated to San Giovanni Battista, can be found nearby. The baptistry of San Giovanni Battista is one of the oldest ecclesiastical buildings in the whole of Montefeltro. The articulation of the forms, the presence of arches, cloisters and columns on a Romanic structure make this elegant and complex building particularly fascinating. A peculiarity: the basin of this foundation is made up of an ancient sepulchre which remains undated. In the centre of the town, in the backdrop of a beautiful garden, we can find the Geo-Library of the district of Carpegna. After the restoration of the small church of Santa Maria del Poggio in the little village called Castacciaro, a museum was opened dedicated to the 15 villages which in ancient times made up the town of Carpegna. Worthy of mention is the Romanic apse of the ancient church of San Sisto and the small crypt supported by a single column in stone with a decorated capital. Carpegna is the town which houses the head offices of the Sasso Simone and Simoncello Nature Reserve. It is also home to another important feature of the park, the 5.5-acre faunistic area within which, along a set trail, the visitor can see small animals typical of the territory, as well as wildlife. The unmistakable bulk of Sasso Simone in Simoncello, which from afar often resembles a huge raft, characterizes a rather wide area, as it is visible from the Pesarese, Romagna and Aretino, owing to the altitude and morphology of the entire area. This characteristic massif very often features in tourists' photographs. The ascent of Sasso Simone is an absolute must for walking enthusiasts in this part of Italy. Although the excursion is easy, it is fulfilling. The plateau of Sasso Simone can be reached on foot, on horseback and mountain bike, along well-marked trails which cross diverse types of environments. From the sharp edges of the plateau, which overhangs all sides, the landscape is majestic and embraces a wide stretch of the Tosco-Romagnola and Umbro-Marchigiana Apennine Ridge, which is covered by woods. Another, even higher and extensive feature characterizes the park, the mountain of Carpegna, whose peak is made up of a vast grassy plain, which at a height of 1,400 meters above sea level, slopes towards the Adriatic, often appearing in the background. On the north side of Mount Carpegna, a sudden and continuous bank breaks the grasslands. Few passages, such as the Trabocchetto Pass, allow you to overcome this morphological obstacle and reach the plateau, if you are coming from the Valmarecchia, or on the contrary, to descend towards it through the beech woods, which cover the north slope of the mountain. The drinking troughs for animals are in some cases an important supply point and stopping place for the numerous excursionists who cross the mountain. This is a typically medieval town which owes its urban structure and aspect to the union of two ancient castles, the castles of Penna and Billi. Setting off from the main part of town, the visitor can admire the cathedral, which commands the principal square of the town and gives it its characteristic appearance. L'Orto dei Frutti Dimenticati, the garden of the forgotten fruits, is a veritable display of the fruit trees of our countryside, which are in the process of disappearing or have already disappeared. The garden, created by Maestro Tonino Guerra, strongly and positively influences the image of Pennabilli. The Teatro Vittoria, which has been completely restructured in recent times, is also in the town centre. Il Palazzo del Vescovato, the Bishop's Palace, which houses the famous Diocesan Museum, is a reminder that Pennabilli is the episcopal see of the Montefeltro. After having walked along the Strada delle Meridiane, characterized by the presence of numerous sundials produced by various craftsmen, we pass the Porta Malatesta, which leads us into the Giardino dei Pensieri, the Garden of Thoughts, another of Tonino Guerra's creations, in which we can meditate and dream. From the height of Penna, the Rupe rock can be seen. Here the castle of Billi, which is now the monastery of the Augustinian nuns, was once situated. The World of Tonino Guerra is the title the poet has chosen to define the space which houses his works of art, a live place for meetings, discussions and workshops. The Natural History Museum is another of the park's facilities and is entirely dedicated to the diverse environments present in the territory. Not far from Pennabilli rises the unmistakable outline of the Tower of Bascio. This is the remnant of the ancient and majestic castle which dominated the valley of Marecchia below. The Sasso Simone has been visited since the Bronze Age. The numerous archaeological finds discovered on the plateau are testimony. Round about the year 1000, a Benedictine abbey, San Michele al Sasso, was built on the ruins of the previous Longobard sanctuary. The vitality of the place would not last for long, and the abbey gradually lost its importance. Another attempt to urbanize the plain of Sasso took place in 1566, with the laying of the foundation stone and the solemn ceremony accompanying the construction of the Città del Sole, the Sun City. This was a project desired by Cosimo de' Medici to consolidate and expand his power and the territory of the Tuscan state to the Adriatic side of the peninsula. However, also in this case, the place revealed itself to be hostile to human settlement. The height, the harsh, severe climate, the same position as the site, flat but with sheer drops on all sides, the extensive mountain forest which surrounded and continues to surround the monolith, made all attempts at human settlement futile. The Città del Sole, surely an auspicious name, was, to make matters worse, built in conjunction with the Little Ice Age, a freezing cold period with long winters which lasted for centuries, with global consequences for mankind. The Città del Sole lasted for a few years, and then, as in the previous cases, was completely abandoned. Today, only a few striking ruins scattered around the plain are testimony to a significant moment in the history of this part of Italy. The characteristic village of Frontino, occupying a panoramic position, arises from one of the largest spurs which descends from the ridge of Mount Carpegna towards the valley of Foglia. Years of restoration work and an intelligent recovery of the entire village have given rise to one of the most pleasant and charming town centres in the entire Pesarese area. When you arrive, you feel as if you are entering a picture. The bell tower, completely covered in 5-leaved ivy, with only the clock showing, is a typical feature of the area and in the collective imagination. To the west, the convent of Montefiorentino stands out between the sky and wood. Founded by San Francesco di Assisi, elegant in form and architectural style, it is the flagship of the town and a must for art and history enthusiasts. The San Girolamo residence, which has been declared a national monument, is the product of the recovery of an important monastery built in the early 1500s. A careful restoration process has conserved intact the charm of the ancient building. The mill of Del Ponte or della Comunità in Ponte Vecchio di Frontino has been documented since 1658. Recently restructured, the mill is fed by the waters of the Mutino torrent. The characteristic bottaccio, the mill's feed pool, gives the place a combination of pleasantness and sober elegance. The building, made in coins of sandstone, is fairly articulated and even includes an old watchtower.